So, story time, is it? Well, uh, we all have this special moment in our life that we remember forever. This special day that goes with us all along our life. My special day is a rainy day in Cameroon, in Yaoundé, the capital. I woke up very early that morning, very nervous and very anxious because that's the morning I decided to leave everything behind. Just the day before that morning, although I knew I would go away, I once again thought about taking my life. That was extremely sad because I wasn't finding my place in that post-colonial, uh, newly independent Cameroon, where the mentality, the laws, and the traditions were all speaking against who my body was telling me I was. And that's a very terrible thing for a teenager to go through, to feel like you don't belong. So it was a very, very hard decision to take at some point. Well, people always think that one make chose to be what he is when it comes to sexual orientation. The only thing one chooses is to be truly to oneself or to choose to hide behind politically correctness and just lie your way through life. And I knew that wasn't an option for me because I'm a terrible liar to start with. And I love myself too much to be hiding all my life. So I had taken the choice to go, and I had been making arrangements for a while, and very surprisingly, because I was only 15, turning 16, and I was leaving everything behind. So that morning I woke up, I walked to my, I looked at my brothers, they were still sleeping. I walked out of the room, took the bag that I had prepared, went into my mother's room and kissed her goodbye. I told her I had something to do and I would be back. And I left. It was very, very. I have kind of a blackout between the moment I left my house, the airport, all the border procedures. I just remember being on board, flying away, and leaving everything behind. And that is, for me, kind of a curse because it's the day that I will remember the most, but it's the day that I forgot the most because my brain skipped so many parts of that day that I only remember flashes. I have flashes of me in the plane, flashes of me being scared of being caught because, of course, to leave, I had managed to get a passport where I was older than I really was because I wouldn't have been able to fly without that. I remember me being scared and feeling this loneliness of knowing that you just lost your family or the family you had been given, because we don't choose our family as we usually say, but we can make our family. So for me, even though the problem wasn't my family, because the problem generally is society, the family only reflects society. The family only protects itself by sticking with what society demands from them. So I can't really say that I never hated my family, or I never judged those who judged me, or those who discriminated me, because I always knew it wasn't their fault. It was all ignorance. It's a lack of social intelligence. It's a lack of information. It's fear of on what they don't know. But beside all those excuses and explanations, I was aware that it will be a long time before I saw my family again. I didn't even know if I would ever have a family again, and that was, for me, as I said, a day that follows me all my life, because it was kind of a divorce with my past, with my origins, with my bloodstream, however you want to call that. That was like a break. And I know that through the world, even today, I always know that every second that passes, there is a teenager somewhere in the world in that very same situation. And that's why I'm such an advocate of not only gay rights, of freedom, of human rights, the right to exist for everybody, as long as that right is not threatening the right to exist to any other person. It should be respected. It should be diversity made humanity what it is today. I mean, we wouldn't be 1% of what we are today if every first human being had stayed in his cave carving the same stone that his fathers carved before. Some of them had to step out of the line to go out and find fire. So it's wrong to expect everybody to walk on the same steps of society. It's wrong to think that any young kid on this planet is one morning woke up and thought, oh, you know what, I'm going to be gay, and everybody is going to insult me. They are going to judge me. They are going to condemn me. They are going to mock me. Oh, it will be wonderful. No, nobody makes such a choice or takes such a decision. The only decision somebody takes is to be honest with you. And you, in return, punishes the person for having been honest with you and tell you exactly who they are. It works a lot better for society. People who lie, like who will pretend they're straight, who would actually generally pretend they are homophobic, because those are most of the time the most vocal ones against what they say they fight against. But it's just, I never felt anger for homophobes. I always felt pain, because behind 95% of homophobes, there is a gay person screaming in a closet that is getting smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller every day. So it's, homophobic people don't need to be fought. They need to be helped. They are generally suffering. and it's a basic instinct to bite one when a being is pushed into extreme pain. So yeah, and all that was with me, in me that day, going away, leaving everything behind because, and having no clue where I would end up. And I'm very happy I did it because it helped me create the family that I have today, which is my actual husband, my ex-husband, my kids, the kids that I raised, my friends, my colleague, and all my tens of adoptive sons. So, yeah, my terrible day turned out actually to have been the best thing I did, to uh, leave leave behind a society that was not prepared to accept me, and find a place. We all have a place somewhere on this planet. So I know that times are very polarized, and it's back in fashion to think that everybody should just stay where he's born and nobody should come here and steal our jobs and eat our dogs and all that stupid crap. But trust me, it's good for the world to mix. There is a place for everybody on this planet. The same, I tell like people who are extremely conservative and they don't want to meet any gay person, they don't want to meet any foreign person. They don't. I'm like, move to Iran. It will be perfect for you. Um, which is, I don't know, why do you torture yourself living in a society which whose grand values go against your beliefs? If you believe that women should be mistreated and gay people should be stoned, why the hell are you in Europe? Why are you not living in, oh, maybe it's too far to move to Iran. You can move to Russia. It's not so far, and you'll be closer to your beliefs. So to stay here and bark at every man who passes down your window with painted nails just expresses your bad being. It means you're not well. It means because if you were happy, you would be busy enjoying the happiness of your loved ones, and not. I mean, when you focus more on the on fighting others than making your loved ones happy, then you have a serious problem. And that is what was driving me away from my own family, from my own land, from my own, my origin. Basically, I'm not finding a word stronger than that, but that's fine. It was a pity to have to do it, but at the end, maybe it was good for me because from that day of taking that first step of moving out of my shell, I discovered the world, which I probably would have never discovered. I used that freedom to educate myself socially, mainly because after a while, I came to realize that all the academic education was worthless without a social uh, education. Without social intelligence, intelligence is useless. Um, and actually, without social intelligence, intelligence can become scary and misused. So for me, yeah, it helped me um, grow as a human being uh, and change. I went from being materially very rich or from living a wealthy family to gain a different sort of wealth, which I kind of appreciate more today than I did back then. The freedom of being myself and yeah, which is what I wish to everybody. So, yeah, I was born in May 1970, just 10 years after most sub-Saharan African countries had gained their independence from France. So, those countries were still kind of emerging republics. And I was born in very particular circumstances. My mother, from a rather very modest upbringing, contrasting with my father's upbringing. So my whole childhood was a constant back and forth between the top of the society and the very low. So very early, I learned to go from living in a castle and spending my holidays with my brothers in the poorest uh, area of Cameroon. And maybe that's where I started developing uh, this gust for social differences, which I think sometimes are a bit unjustified. Um, I started very at a very young age to ask myself why some humans could have everything and others nothing, and I was stuck there in the middle of these two culture, let's say, because they're completely different cultures. Whether you live on the upper end of society or if you live on the on the lower end, and I loved. For me, it was strange because I loved people on both sides. I loved my uh, paternal family equally than my maternal family. Um, that maybe added to the fact that I struggled to find my place in society because I could completely get the story from both sides. I could understand both sides, but still, it was um, it was always difficult, like to go back to my mom and see them living, all of them, in a house that was smaller than my room in my dad's house. And I never understood why I couldn't help them, why I wasn't allowed, like, to give them from what I was given. Um, it it made me start to question the uh, wealthy or the powerful, because I always knew that before one wealthy or powerful, behind one wealthy or powerful family, there are 1,000 struggling families. And it kind of made me feel a bit ashamed sometimes when I was with my other family. Um, but what was common to all that was the extreme conservatism that I had to face, because I knew, I mean, most gay people know very early, even before I could put a name on it, before like I could put a translation on those feelings. I knew that when I was reading a fairy tale, uh, I was. It was strange because I wasn't like identifying with the. How would I say that? Let's say that all the princesses were like, well, they were like too much in the story, because uh, contrary to most of my friends, I didn't like feel this attraction to them. It wasn't a problem. It's not a problem when you're a kid because you can't put words on it. You just know that you're not interested in Snow White and Cinderella. That you never dream of being their Prince Charming. That's fine. You go on with it, and it was very natural for me to uh, want to put a beautiful skirt when I saw it on one of my sisters, and it was, for me, it was just like I couldn't understand why, uh, who had decided that this group of people have to wear this, and that group of people have to wear something else. I was always saying beautiful things that I wasn't like, I couldn't have, and that was not right to me. And I wanted to wear jewelry. I wanted uh, to have colorful clothes, and it was all for girls. I wasn't okay, but then the first step is that you start noticing that you hear things. So you start realizing that even before you know what being gay is, what homosexuality or sexuality is, uh, you already have these stereotypes being thrown at your face, and you're already being flashed with them. You even start embracing them because it's normal for a kid to embrace things that he says or hears. We are talking about an extra religious society. And here again, you start hearing things like abomination, and all the time it refers to things that you identify with. So you start automatically to feel guilty, like, am I a bad person? Why am I feeling all these things that are being condemned? Why am I feeling all these things that are being attacked? And then you get scared because, of course, you're afraid of what society might do of you. That's, but that comes after a little bit later, when one really realizes, okay, that is it, I'm gay, because you always end up falling, having like your first love or your first crush or something like that. And at some point, you have to realize, okay, all my friends have girlfriends. I don't feel like having a girlfriend, but I know that I have a terrible crush about this guy. I know that when I hear him, I'm just basically shaking. I know that when he touches me, my thoughts go over the limit that I imposed myself. So you can keep denying it, but once it's there, it's there. You know who you are, you know how you are. You cannot teach your body to like a certain type of people. And that's again, once again, that takes me to nowadays when I tell people, listen, it's not because your kid sees a drag queen at school or reads a book with a drag queen that he will turn gay if he was not meant to be. Because if that worked like that, I would never have been gay. I was bombarded from all sides with straight stereotypes. And here again, here am I. I'm as gay as you can be. I mean, and if God came down today and asked me to choose what I want to be reincarnated in, I would certainly tell him I want to come back as a gay black man. So that's where I stand today. Completely assumed, accepted by myself, beside all that very conservative, condemning, homophobic background. So don't get worried because your kid is seeing a drag queen on TV or has seen two guys kissing in the subway. He will see a lot more guys kissing girls than the opposite. So if he's influenced only by that one guy he saw kissing a guy the other day, or by the 5 ones he will see on TV, in comparison to the thousands he sees every day having straight behaviors, don't blame exposition. It's because he was already like that. So I don't know what more kind of proof people want than their own experience. All those people who talk about making choices, they say it because they made one. They chose the closet. I mean, you don't choose your sexuality, but you choose to assume it or not. I think that's the only choice that is made here, is to live in the closet or to live honestly. I see so many women posting nasty comments about gay people while I know perfectly that last time her husband climbed on her, he himself had the semen of another man in his scrotum. So it's like, if people just focus on being happy themselves, when people realize that when they stop demonizing gay people, some gay people will stop feeling the need to marry their daughters to hide. And if somebody wants every gay man to have a wife, then he should be prepared to offer his daughter or sister to be the wife of one of those, because that's the only alternative. It's not like a disease that somebody can cure from. This is this is something that somebody is, as well as being albinos or left-handed, or it's it's there, it's forever. Just embrace it uh, and try to make the best of it for society, because we are a sociable species. We all can play a role. We all have something to bring. It's just about finding what's your part to bring in this society. And this is the response that you can give to all those people who say, yeah, homosexuality is terrible because they don't procreate. I mean, we tend to forget that we are mammals, that we are, before being humans, we are animals, like all the others, and that in most socially established um, uh, groups of animals and all that, they don't all reproduce. If you go in a wolf's pack, not all of them reproduce. The alpha male and the alpha female will reproduce, and this happens in many societies. So they should don't come to me with we all need to reproduce idea, because that would actually be terrible for this planet. So yeah, my upbringing was really as bad as it can be for a young gay person, because between the age of mostly 13 and 15, I thought so many times about taking my life. And once again, that's one of the things that drives me. That's why I can sometimes lose it when I read homophobic jokes, comments, and things like that online, because I know somewhere there is a young person who is already very, very fragile, who might read this and have the same thought that I had when I was his age. And I think no teenager should have to go to that. I don't care. I don't mind for myself, because I made my life. I found my place. I kind of builded my happiness. I'm strong enough to resist attacks or hardship, but I know somewhere there are still people who don't have all those tools to defend themselves, to preserve themselves. That's why sometimes I get mad, because people, they just throw something like that online and they don't realize the very sad and deep repercussion that it can have on a young person's life somewhere. Being a young immigrant gay person in Paris, everybody will expect that I will tell a very sad story about this, but no, it wasn't. I felt very, I acknowledge that I was very lucky, because maybe because I was well surrounded, because I was lucky enough to find to be on this tour where I was working, and I was meeting nice people of backgrounds, of interesting backgrounds that really helped me get more into society, that helped me integrate a lot a lot more easily. In the beginning, I managed to join a dance company. I was dancing when I was younger, and I joined a tour with back then tennis player Yannick Noah, who had just turned singer, and he made this album Saga Africa. So I joined him on that tour. It was fantastic, and I made some money that allowed me very quickly to be independent, and I started traveling around. I realized, first of all, I realized I wasn't the only gay man in the world. you know. And then I realized I was in a society where I could actually, even if there was still a latent homophobia in the society, at least I was legally covered. And that was a big change for me. That was like just, that was the birth of the phoenix for me. I felt strong, I felt empowered. Um, I was young, I was handsome, and I felt desired. That was very empowering. And I was lucky to meet the right people at the right time. And so I joined an acting school, one of the most of the best in Paris. After that, I acted in theaters, uh, played very classical plays like La Dispute de Marivaux, On ne badine pas avec l'amour, French plays, Feu la mère de Madame. It was nice, and at that point, I was so eager to enjoy this freedom that I just decided to travel the world. I lived in Tunisia for a while. I went, Jordan, the US, the Middle East, Asia, Latin America. I traveled a lot. For the first 8 years, I traveled a lot. Maybe somehow that's the only way I could cope with the loss of my family, because during all this time, my family believed me dead. And that's what I wanted them to believe anyway, because I wasn't doing this out of revenge for them, but it was actually to protect them. Because when your family lives in this kind of very homophobic society, the homophobia doesn't only go against the gay person or the trans person, it goes against, I mean, the family suffers it too. And now imagine your family being, one of your parents being deeply involved in politics and things like that. You also carry the guilt of being possibly a liability for him. So making them believe you're dead was actually making a favor to everybody. And at that point, I was sure that it was the best thing to do, just to forget about my family and not have one and remake one. And since I had, luckily, because of my dad's position and social and finance, I could have an education, a basic, a very good basic education. Therefore, there is so much I could do because I did so many different interesting works. And that's what allowed me to travel so much. When I was in Tunisia, I was working for Club Méditerranée. I started there like in charge of the souvenir shop, and then I worked my way up. And in Paris, I worked with Disney. First as a dancer, then as a face character. I was one of the first black face characters at Disney. So, yeah. And Prada, I was in charge of Prada Printemps, in the Prada shop in Printemps Haussmann. And then I became display manager, and in between I was always acting. And then I started my production. Um, I always had a passion for video photography, and then all this world that I was discovering, all these sexualities, particularly gay sex, and I started recording people having sex, uh, just because I wanted to show to the world that it was nothing evil being gay. It was just sex. It was just sex between two men. And it was not some evil satanic mess that they were locking themselves there, or any. It was nothing extraordinary. It was just sex between two men. And I started recording that, and to my big surprise, he became so successful that I found myself being a porn director, and a good one, I must say, if we can tell by the success of the productions and the brand, which became worldwide known, and gave me the influence that I have today in the gay community, and through that I also wanted to show that it could be done right. So I wanted to do porn, but there was such a terrible reputation coming around porn, and that was a good thing because it helped me overprotect myself from falling into the stereotypes. And I don't know if I can be proud of it, but I'm happy that most models that I mentor today thank me for the way I did. I thank myself because most models have I not even respect anymore. A lot of them have an affectionate relation with me because of the treatment they had from me, because I never saw them like what most people see them as, which is sexual objects. I always saw the person behind, and for me, there were people that I needed to mentor, to guide, so that they could make the best out of that and not waste their talent into drugs or easy life and things like that. So most of them today, some call me daddy. It's okay, I accept it. Every man one morning wakes up and realize that he's daddy already, and it's fine. But I mean, I was never uncomfortable for that, because I know that porn, or not porn, porn at today is still one of the most successful industries in the world. I think is porn sells more than cars and all that. So, which means that it's something that is very present in the society in at all levels. If I mean, the pornography has always been there. It's all only the social perception that we have of it that has been changed by uh, religious misinterpretations, because I see it like that, because porn has always been embedded in society, in the Egyptian society, in the Roman society, and even in the modern society. If you look at countries like Spain, here the first porn producer in Spain was King Alphonse XIII, who is none less than the grandfather of the actual king, who started producing pornography and distributing it. So it's nothing. I've always taught my morals that it's nothing to be ashamed of. You should never be ashamed of selling something. It's the person buying it who should be ashamed. I mean, when I see the girl selling the water of her bath on OnlyFans, I don't blame her. I'm just like, girl, make your bucks. If somebody is stupid enough to buy your bath water, I'm like, girl, go for it. If your bath water will make him happy, you know what? Go for it. Do it. It's what do you want me to say? We are living in a world where Trump can be re-elected twice. Why wouldn't that young girl sell her the water of her bath if somebody is stupid enough to buy it? It's what we all do. We sell what we have. If somebody is stupid enough to buy it, good for us. So it's just that some people think that what they sell is more noble than what others sell. No, I'm sorry. We all, on a level or the other, have to prostitute ourselves to feed ourselves, because that's the way humans feed. As long since they stopped going around to hunt or harvest, they have to trick to get something, and everybody's tricking to get something. We are dancing dogs to get a treat, and everybody has his own tune. Some girls or some young men has no other choice than to beat the pavement and sell their body for some scraps. Some other do the very exact same job, except that they do it in a limousine and they call their client their husband. But the finality of the relation deep inside is exactly the same. You are giving your money, your body, for money. Some do it in a White House and you call them First Lady and you applaud her, and she writes books, and some less lucky ones do it in the next corner, but we throw stones and insults at them. It's that's the human, you know. I stopped looking for logic into human brain and our society. The only way to be happy is to observe it, change the bits you can change to make sure you don't step on shit, and keep walking. So keep walking, and hopefully I bump into you somewhere in the city or in the world. Say hello. Bye. Happy time. Ciao.